Meanwhile, in Brazil, in response to a massive rise in COVID cases and deaths, they're having to switch up their approach a little bit with the Brazilian president, Jair Bolsonaro, on Monday naming a doctor as the country's new health minister, hours after the general currently in the role confirmed that Bolsonaro was weighing candidates to replace him. So you should understand that at this point, more than 279,000 Brazilians have died in a worsening outbreak that killed more people in Brazil than any other nation in the world last week. And you can see the daily deaths, how they've been spiking up recently. Just over the past week or two, they have shot up. And it's interesting because I remembered a bit of Bolsonaro related news from a couple weeks ago. And that was when he said to a crowded event, enough fussing and whining. How much longer will the crying go on? How much longer will you stay at home and close everything? No one can stand it anymore. We regret the deaths again, but we need a solution. And it's so weird that the guy who approaches the pandemic as people not wanting those to die is whining or fussing or crying. And somehow more people end up dying. It's so weird how that works out, Ben.
The level of sociopathy. I often think, how bad can America get? Or is there anything worse than how we do politics here? And then I'm reminded of Bolsonaro and what's happening there. But we're not too far off in terms of just being blatant with that rhetoric. In fact, actually, no, I got to correct myself. We're right there with them in this level of derangement, political derangement, and complete dismissal of the value of human life. It is absolutely absurd where we've gotten in our global politics.
And the funny thing is, obviously, like there have been countries that have really failed on COVID. We're one, Brazil remains one. What's interesting is that I like reminders that we're all sort of similar at the end of the day. And the way the failure was managed looks pretty similar, at least on the surface. So the former health minister, General Eduardo Pazuello, an active duty army general without a medical degree, has been criticized for lacking public health expertise and supporting Bolsonaro's push to use unproven drugs to fight COVID-19 while downplaying the need for social distancing. The two predecessors before that resigned in roughly the span of a month last year, in part because as physicians, they wouldn't fully endorse treating COVID-19 patients with the anti-malarial drug hydroxychloroquine. So they've had so many people in charge of this. As the president is telling you to stop whining and just reopen, they've been trying to push things that don't actually treat it as the solution, while telling people you don't need to do things like social distancing, which is the solution. Are we really that different at the end of the day? Two countries, a world apart, but the same sort of stupid political leaders.
And the why? They could have accomplished keeping businesses open when we found it was just so efficacious for people to wear masks. And so they were like, okay, if you insist on people going on this pandemic in order for these companies to hit their quarterly profit margins, okay, I got a problem with that. But could you at least support wearing masks and social distancing? And that's a bridge too far. Not only do they want you to go out and spend your money, they want you to go out and risk your life.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.